My name is Tanner. I'm currently a graduate student at the University of Texas at San Antonio, getting my master's in mental health counseling. Right now, I'm doing my second of 3 counseling internships. So I'm seeing clients at UTSA's Counseling Center. Prior to beginning graduate school at UTSA, I had struggled with both obsessive compulsive disorder and anxiety symptoms for pretty much my entire life. The symptoms were very debilitating. I would spend multiple hours per day obsessing about a variety of things and completing both physical and verbal compulsions. So it got to a point where it really had taken over my entire life until I discovered metabolic therapies. And after I implemented a handful of metabolic therapies, I really just regained control over my life. And honestly, when I talk about it with people, I kind of explain that I was like reborn in a sense. Like I'm a completely different person. And almost every single day, I think of like pre-keto and post-keto. That's kind of how I like frame my life today, like a before and after lens. I implemented like a number of metabolic therapies. Obviously, the primary one was a ketogenic diet. And about 6 weeks in following these metabolic therapies very strictly, it was like one day I just like woke up and everything had like clicked into place. Like the internal chatter came to a halt. The anxiety pretty much evaporated. Resisting those like physical and verbal compulsions just became effortless, whereas before it was just so challenging. My confidence skyrocketed. My presence skyrocketed. I think like up and I think up until that point, like I didn't really understand what it was like to be present. Like being present was like a very small minority of my life. Like I just didn't have a lot of experience doing that. My head was always somewhere else. And so that was very new for me. I just can't express like how much my life changed, honestly. Like there's just not words to express it. I think like one challenge, probably the biggest one, was the learning curve. I always tell people like before I went down this rabbit hole, like I didn't know the difference between a calorie or a carbohydrate. I just knew they were both nutrition related and started with the letter C. So I had zero knowledge whatsoever. Now, thankfully, I was in a position where I could take a few months off of work. I had saved up quite a bit of money and essentially get like, a college degree in like the ketogenic diet, right? Like it was like a full-time job for me for multiple weeks where all I was doing day in and day out was learning everything I could about the ketogenic diet and everything I could about other metabolic therapies. And so I recognize that can be a real challenge for people. Like there is just so much to learn. I think a second challenge that I faced during this journey was surprisingly how unsupportive some people can be when you try an untraditional treatment method. You're met with a lot of doubt, which I can understand, right? If you're not familiar with a ketogenic diet as a medical treatment, I can understand why you would be doubtful, but also resistance, right? Like a lot of like judgment, this sort of like in group, out group dynamic where I'm still eating sugar and ultra processed foods and you're not. And so are you judging me? So I think just like a lot of the conflicts I faced with family members and peers was challenging. But to be honest, it was just absolutely so worth it. Like I would never change my decision. It was just so obviously worth it. If somebody came to me and said, why should I try a ketogenic diet when I could just take a medication? Like, what would I say? I think like I would base my answer to that question off of my own experience with medication, which was a poor one. I tried a couple of different medications roughly about 10 years ago. And not only did I not see a lot of improvements, I experienced a lot of really debilitating side effects. The first full-blown panic attack I ever had was right after I started taking medications. And then it got to a point where I was too afraid to do anything really, to leave my home really, because I was afraid I was going to have more panic attacks. And my life revolved around avoiding panic attacks, right? So obviously, panic attacks are one of many side effects that psychiatric drugs can cause. And I will acknowledge, like, I am aware of people who take psychiatric drugs and have a lot of success with them. But at least from my anecdotal experience, that success is not long lasting. So with the ketogenic diet, maybe other than some diarrhea, I didn't really have any side effects. And the success has been long lasting. Honestly, I'm about 2 years in at this point, and I still feel just as good as I did on day one, right? And it's just a lot easier than taking a drug, I guess, right? I have total autonomy.